A 22-year-old man woke up one morning and went to a meeting to celebrate his greatest success. But when he walked out of that room, he was no longer the same person. Charlie Kirk learned that day, sometimes those closest to you can be your most dangerous enemies. November 2015. A hot Arizona evening. Charlie Kirk, only 22 years old but already a phenomenon. Turning Point USA, the organization he founded, was sweeping through campuses like a hurricane, bringing conservative ideas to young people. The media called him the Young Conservative Revolution. That evening, his team had organized a surprise meeting for him. "It's going to be a big celebration," they said. "You deserve it for your success." Charlie walked into the meeting room with excitement, but when the door closed, what he saw was nothing like a celebration. So who was Charlie Kirk? A kid from a small town with big dreams. He fell in love with politics in high school. While other teens were partying, he was reading political books. At 18, he made a decision. "I'm going to bring young people to conservatism." Everyone laughed. "Impossible," they said. "Young people want to be liberal." But Charlie didn't give up. By age 22, Turning Point USA had become a brand. They had representatives on hundreds of campuses. They were raising millions of dollars in donations. That young man had achieved the impossible. And now, this success had brought him to that meeting room. The room was silent. 8 people sat around the table. All of them were senior executives of Turning Point USA. Charlie knew them. He trusted them. But the expression on their faces wasn't a celebratory one. "Sit down, Charlie," said the man at the head of the table. His voice was cold. Charlie slowly sat down. He had a strange feeling inside. "Is there a problem?" he asked. No one answered. Then, someone opened a folder and placed a document in front of Charlie. When he read what was written on it, his heart stopped. What was written on the document? It said that all management rights of Turning Point USA would be transferred, and the new manager was not Charlie Kirk. But the most shocking part hadn't come yet. "What does this mean?" Charlie asked. His voice was trembling. One of the men at the table leaned forward. "The organization has grown, Charlie. We can't trust someone as young as you anymore." Charlie couldn't believe it. "I built this. This was my dream." "The dream was yours," said another, "but the money is ours. Donors talk to us. Campuses make deals with us." Charlie looked around. 8 people, all looking at him with the same cold stare. "You? All of you?" No one answered. The silence was enough. His closest team members had sold him out. Do you know what Charlie Kirk felt at that moment? Disappointment, anger, number. He felt something deeper. Betrayal. People he'd worked with for years, friends he'd debated projects with late into the night, comrades who'd celebrated success together. All of them were trying to sideline him in a planned manner. "Sign it," said the man at the head of the table, "or you'll leave this organization without a penny." Charlie's hand trembled. Should he sign? If he didn't sign, he would lose everything he'd built. But if he signed, he would be completely erased from his own dream. Charlie looked at that document. Then, he looked at the faces around the table, and he made a decision. But this decision was the kind no one expected. This is where everything changed. Charlie pushed the document away. "No," he said. His voice was calm but determined. "What did you say?" The man at the table was shocked. "No, I won't sign." The room suddenly stirred. People looked at each other. "You don't understand, Charlie. This is your only option." Charlie stood up. "No," he said again. "This is your only option. Because you forgot something." "What did we forget?" Charlie smiled, but it was a bitter smile. "Turning Point USA is mine, not just on paper, in people's hearts. Young people on campuses know me. The media talks to me. Donors trust me." The room fell silent. "You can take the documents," Charlie said, "but you can't take the soul of the organization." And he walked out of that room. When he closed the door, he felt empty inside. But he knew one thing. The war wasn't over yet. 24 hours after walking out of that room, Charlie Kirk made another decision. And this decision would change everything. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. The next day, Charlie moved quietly. First, he met with his lawyers. Documents were reviewed. Legal rights were researched. Then, he talked to representatives on campuses. "I need to tell you something," he told them. "There's a civil war in the organization. But I'm here, and I'm going to keep fighting." The young people believed him, because Charlie Kirk wasn't just a name, he was a vision. Then he made a statement to the media. "Some people in Turning Point USA are in a power struggle," he said, "but I'm the founder and visionary of the organization, and this movement won't end here." The media exploded. Headlines appeared, "Civil War at Turning Point USA." Donors started asking questions of both sides. The team that betrayed Charlie was caught unprepared. They had planned to quietly move and eliminate Charlie. But Charlie turned it into an open war. The war continued for weeks. Legal letters, media statements, donor meetings. Charlie was tired, but he didn't give up. One night he opened his phone and sent a message to someone from his old team. "Why? Why did you do this to me?" The answer came. "Because you're too young, Charlie. People didn't trust you. We wanted to run the organization under someone more reliable." When Charlie read that message, he understood. They hadn't betrayed him. They were afraid of his youth. They were intimidated by his vision. Charlie realized something else at that moment. Betrayal is sometimes a sign of power, because people who don't see you as a threat don't betray you. And then, something unexpected happened. One of the donors took action and made Charlie an offer. You won't believe this, but a major donor had a private meeting with Charlie Kirk. "Young people," the man said, "are the future of the organization. You reach young people. That team is just chasing power." And then, the man made a shocking decision. He decided to keep his entire donation under Charlie's control. This was a multi-million-dollar donation. Without that money, the team that betrayed Charlie couldn't run the organization. And so, the war ended. The team had to back down. A week later, Charlie Kirk regained full control of Turning Point USA. Those who told him in that meeting room, "You're too young," were gone. Charlie had won. But the story didn't end there. After Charlie regained control, he realized something. That meeting room was just the beginning. Because as Turning Point USA grew, it had entered the radar of bigger powers. By 2024, Charlie was no longer just an activist. He was influencing millions of young people. He was shaping the political agenda, and powerful people were uncomfortable with this. There was one issue in particular: Israel. Charlie had maintained a pro-Israel stance for years. In his speeches, on his social media, at his events, he constantly defended Israel. But at the beginning of 2025, things started to change. Meetings with donors became tense. In some speeches, Charlie started featuring Israel themes less. And then, that message came. September 2025, just 24 to 36 hours before Charlie Kirk's death, Charlie sent a message to his major donors, a private message, the kind no one was supposed to see. But Candace Owens leaked this message after Charlie's death. The message read, "Jewish donors are living up to every stereotype. I can't continue to be bullied like this. They're leaving me no choice. I'm dropping the pro-Israel cause." This was a bombshell statement. Charlie Kirk was saying he would abandon one of the cornerstones of his career. Why? Because he was under pressure. He said he was being bullied. He said, "They're leaving me no choice." This wasn't a decision. This was a last resort. And the next day, Charlie Kirk was killed. Coincidence? After Charlie's death, some people tried to hide that message. One of them was Josh Hammer. Josh Hammer described himself as Charlie's close friend, a conservative writer, a Zionist, and a strong advocate for the Israel lobby. When Candace leaked that message, Josh immediately reacted. Charlie was just angry. He was venting. He didn't really mean it. He was joking. Really? A man writes that he's abandoning a position that forms his life's work. And this is joking? Candace responded, Josh, when you get angry, do you write, I'm quitting my job? And do you send it in a private message to your donors? Josh didn't answer, because he couldn't. Charlie was clear, explicit, and determined in that message. He said, they're leaving me no choice. This was a decision, a final point, and Josh Hammer knew this. But he was trying to hide it. Why? Because if Charlie really decided to drop the Israel cause, then that decision might have made him a target. Think about it. Charlie Kirk, a leader reaching millions of young people, his withdrawal of support from Israel would have had a massive impact. Young conservatives would start questioning Israel's policies. Israel would no longer be a central issue at Turning Point USA events. Donors would pull back. And more importantly, this would create a domino effect. If Charlie Kirk withdrew his support from Israel, others might too. This was unacceptable for the Israel lobby. And maybe, just maybe, that's why Charlie became a target. September 10th, 2025, Utah Valley University. Charlie Kirk took the stage. It was the first stop of the American Comeback Tour. Thousands of young people were cheering for him. Cameras were rolling. Everything was normal. And then, right at noon, a single shot. Blood gushed from Charlie's neck. He fell to the ground. Chaos began. The official story. A 22-year-old named Tyler Robinson fired from a rooftop 142 meters away. He was a lone gunman. He used bullets covered with anti-fascist slogans. But some things didn't add up. The murder weapon shown as a .30-06 caliber rifle didn't match Charlie's wound. The .30-06 has enormous power. Test videos show that this weapon literally explodes a gel head. The back is completely destroyed. But Charlie's head had no exit wound. The surgeon was puzzled. The bullet stopped just under the skin. The bones acted like steel. Impossible. Either the official story is a lie or something else happened. FBI Director Kash Patel made a statement. Tyler Robinson acted alone. There are no other accomplices. But a few days later, the same Kash Patel said something else. We're investigating all theories, including where the shot was fired from and the possibility of accomplices. Wait. First you say he acted alone, then you say accomplices are being investigated, which is true. And then came the airplane matter. On September 10th, at the time Charlie Kirk was shot, a military contract aircraft with tail number N1098L was flying directly over the campus, much lower than normal. Another private jet, a Bombardier Challenger 300, took off 1 hour and 20 minutes after the assassination, and its transponder turned off. It disappeared from radar. Its owner, Derek Maxfield, made a statement. We turned off the transponder. By arrangement with air traffic control, but Kash Patel said, that aircraft's transponder never turned off. Two different stories. Someone is definitely lying, and the FBI isn't answering any questions. So what's the end of the story? Charlie Kirk faced betrayal from team members in 2015, but he won. In 2025, he faced a bigger betrayal, and this time, he lost his life. Some say Tyler Robinson was a lone gunman. Don't make conspiracy theories. Some say this was a military operation. The Israel lobby silenced Charlie. I can't give you a definitive answer, but I can give you the questions. Why did Charlie say, I'm dropping the Israel cause? Why was he killed the next day? Was the murder weapon really a .30-06? Were the airplanes a coincidence? Why is Kash Patel making contradictory statements? Why is Josh Hammer lying so much? These questions have answers, but we're not being told. So what does this story teach us? First lesson, betrayal is sometimes a sign of your power. Those who don't see you as a threat don't try to sell you out. Second lesson, your vision isn't on paper. It's in people's hearts. Charlie lost documents but never lost his vision. Third lesson, the darkest moments are harbingers of the greatest turning points, or sometimes the beginning of the end. When Charlie Kirk walked out of that room in 2015, He felt like he'd lost everything. But in reality, he'd won everything at that moment. In 2025, he lost everything. But maybe he started a movement, because now people are asking questions. We're no longer staying silent. This story doesn't end here, because there are many more secrets in Charlie Kirk's life. What's the real story of the airplanes? Why isn't the FBI answering? And was Tyler Robinson really the shooter, or did he have another role? If you're curious about the answers to these questions, in the next video, I'll tell an even more shocking story. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because Charlie Kirk's story is just beginning.